You gonna let them know?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Guys, we're going to game one. Why don't we go ahead and get our map intro running, and we'll see you on the other side.
Somewhere between the shores of France and England, this critical battlefield is the stage for a clash of enemy fleets. This idyllic setting will soon be shattered by the thunder of guns and flash of explosions, as only one fleet can be victorious. This is Sea of Fortune. Sea of Fortune is a 48 by 48 kilometer domination-style map with 3 cap points running in a line from west to east. The A cap is on the extreme left, B is in the center, and C is on the far right. The A cap is surrounded by islands, but offers virtually no cover within the cap itself. The aforementioned islands provide plenty of places for friendly radar cruisers to conceal themselves, making aggressive destroyer plays into the cap early in the game very risky and frequently suicidal. A narrow passage past the picturesque castle links Cap A and Cap B in the center. There are only 4 ways in and out of the B cap, 1 in each cardinal direction, and no cover inside. The islands near the cap are commonly used as shelter by defending cruisers, who find themselves in turn the primary targets of enemy battleships. Cap C is possibly the easiest cap for destroyers to contest, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. Wide open to the north and south with a connecting passage to Cap B to the west, ships caught in the cap by enemy radar have nowhere to hide and must vacate the cap or be destroyed. Control of Sea of Fortune can swing very quickly because of how close the capture points are to one another, and the narrow gap between A and B makes defending one cap from the other almost trivial. Teams that allow the action to shift from a north-south axis to an east-west one may find they have an uphill battle to climb. 18 ships, 2 teams, 1 victor. It's time to play Sea of Fortune.
All right, welcome to game one of the North American third place game here in King of the Sea 9 as we start in on Sea of Fortune.
Yep.
Now, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to comment. We have a new spectator mode in place now.
Absolutely.
So we have the ability to see both teams at once. This is the map view. So this will be a little bit of a learning curve for us as we go about this. So please bear with us as we learn this awesome new mode that Wargaming put together specifically for events like this. So
Absolutely.
Thanks to Wargaming for that.
I'm stoked about this. I've been playing around with it a little bit and trying to learn. What we're able to do is we're able to bring you both the specific views of each team and, like as we see here at the beginning, everything. We can show you both teams now at last without having to have the other caster rely and vocally tell us what it is that they're seeing.
Right, so RNG is the green team, and then PWP is the red team.
Correct. Alpha teams on these maps will always be green and spawn typically the north or the northwest, and Bravo will now spawn, they'll always be red and spawn on the south or the southeast.
And it almost looks like we're seeing the standard east-west split on this map, because neither team really wants to go Bravo early.
Nope.
So that makes perfect sense, as both the Daring and the Summers on both teams are jockeying for torpedo position.
We are used to seeing an AC split. It's very common on this map, as both teams adopting something very similar here. Summers versus Summers over at C, Daring versus Daring over at A, as that's the RNG Des Moines. Who is that? That's Beer Kid.
Yeah, that's the Beer Kid.
Beer Kid?
Beef Kid.
Beef Kid.
Beef
There
Kid.
it is. Apologies. He is arguably, he and the Minotaur, the RNG Minotaur here. Who is this? This is House Martell. Nice name.
Oh, yes.
Definitely queuing up here to get ready to keep their radar covering these caps. Now, we just saw radar out of Beef Kid. Looks like he does have Kirov spotted. He does, as we change to the view here looking over RNG. Pushing Kirov off the bottom end of the A cap, as YSL, we have not seen him previously, is working the bottom end of C.
Just want to comment right now, we have the ability to flip back and forth between the teams, and it's very interesting. So PWP can only right now see House Martell and the Minotaur, but if we swap over to the other side, RNG can see almost all of PWP's lineup already.
At the moment, they have pretty good vision here. As we look at they finally do land some hits on YSL as they push him out of the bottom end of the B cap. Darksteel's Smolensk landing some good hits there, as well as House Martell's Minotaur. Just that quickly, we've lost sight of everyone on PWP here, except the Stalingrad popped up briefly, but he's gone again. UNSC's Kremlin now getting shots downrange on, who is that? Looks like St. Polaris' Yamato. Vision control has become very critical in these games without a carrier. We made the decision for a variety of reasons to remove carriers from this King of the Sea, and it has definitely changed how teams have to manage and deal with their vision games.
Absolutely. Airship is also taking some hits now in the Daring south of ACAP. So both PWP destroyers are taking some early hits, which might discourage them from pushing the caps mid to late game.
They are indeed. Of course, that daring heal will allow him to hang in there longer than another ship might, but he definitely has used at least one of them and has gotten some thumped in return.
Now, we haven't talked lineups yet, Raptor. What was something that was interesting to you? You commented something as we were starting.
Well, I commented that both teams bringing a Summers and a Daring, and that's a little bit of a different look from PWP. What we saw PWP in the finals, in the semifinals, they took almost exclusively double Daring. And so the lineup we're seeing from them, double Kremlin, double Stalingrad, Moskva, Des Moines, Smolensk, and Summers and a Daring is a little different. They changed out one of their destroyers, moving to the Summers, which we haven't seen them do. And they dropped the Smolensk. I think they had been running double Smolensk, and they've given up one of those here. But they've got 4 radars, and there's a lot of radar for these RNG destroyers to have to deal with.
Pronounced Coates just took a big hit to Stalingrad all the way over there.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that he just took a big hit from somebody. Yep, he's way over on the edge of the map here. Looks over on the 2 line. He does have a torpedo salvo coming in, but those are well spotted. He should be able to dodge those. 5 minutes gone. Neither team working a cap. RNG well down on health here. They have not traded well early. Pronounced is very low, as is Botch's Summers here as he tries to cap C.
We're switching over to RNG's view here so we can see what happens with Pronounced Coates as he takes another pretty decent chunk and is forced to go broadside on to a Stalingrad and a Moskva. This is going to hurt. That hurt.
Pronounced might be the first kill of the game here. He's well spotted by PWP. I'm sure they're trying to focus him out. Pikachu's Moskva got shells going in. Fever Nova's Stalingrad shells going in. 2,500, under 2,000 now. He must be, he's burning. He must be on fire. There he goes.
And he can now be pronounced dead.
He is pronounced dead.
Quincy, though, at half health.
First blood going to PWP here in game 1. Don't really see, Quincy's probably the only other ship on the board for PWP, the only PWP ship that's really kind of under threat here. Down about half health, just extinguished his fires. He's pushing up into this gap between A and B a bit. I think trying to challenge the Des Moines and to keep Wilson's Daring off of the A cap.
He's got to be very careful, though, because if he goes too far, he can't get an angle. He can't angle against Beef Kid and against Wandering Bread at the same time.
Now, one of the things I'm a little surprised about is that neither team, like, if you look at the positions of some of these ships, if we look at everybody, right? If we pull back and we look at everybody, you can see now that if either team wanted to make a play for B, they could, simply because there's almost nobody other than Quincy now kind of is in this gap that would even have a shot at getting shells into that cap. Quincy, I think, is Quincy gonna push this Des Moines right out? No, he's gonna stop in that gap.
Quincy's kind of in a bad situation there. I think he got himself sandwiched between Wandering Bread and the Beef Kid.
Well, he's got to be a little careful. There's a Yamato off to his port side. He's got the island for cover for now, but it does mean that he can't move much farther. He can't really move out of that cover.
Right. I think he's kind of in a position to radar a B cap if the enemy decides to go for B cap, if RNG plays for that.
Definitely trying that. Botcha now with a bold play here, moving his Summers up in between B and C, as if Quincy decides he wants to pop the radar, he might have shots.
We got a big torp salvo coming in now on Harusame, the Kremlin. This is going to hurt him a lot. This is going to hurt
really, really badly. 1, 2, 3 more coming in. He's going to take 6 Daring torps here in this gap. Brilliant torpedo salvo by Wilson's Daring.
Absolutely. That's a bit of a misplay, putting 2 essentially Russian battleships in the same position.
And certainly 2 high-value targets.
Oh, yeah.
A battleship and a radar cruiser.
I mean, I kind of understand why they're doing it, right? So Quincy has his rear covered by Asuka Harusame and the Kremlin. They basically cover each other, but boy, do they suffer a little bit for that position.
They give up a lot of battleship health to get into that position, as it must be Botch's Summers that is now into C.
You know, it's important to note that match is almost halfway over, and neither cap has been actually claimed.
That's right. We're getting on to the halfway mark of the match here, and nobody has a cap. They do radar now. They've got eyes on Botch's Summers. He's got nowhere to run almost. The Kremlin will have shells on him momentarily as, who is this? This is YSL's Summers also having shells on him from that angle. This is going to end, this could end very badly for Botcha. This bold play in between B and C might end up costing him his ship.
Yeah, I think he might have botched this a little bit.
RNG losing another ship here as their Smolensk over on the 9 line goes down, and there goes Botcha.
Yep, there he goes.
Up 3 ships,
a
still
Smolensk.
nobody on a cap here as we approach the halfway mark of the match.
Celemane is really low too now at 8K. But I don't know that anybody can really deal with him. He's burning.
Switch to RNG's view here. They desperately need a kill. They need to find someone they can apply pressure to and get them off the board. With one of their destroyers out, it's going to basically make it impossible for them to hold PWP off of the C cap. Wilson's Daring is kind of trapped over here in this little island gap over on the 3 line.
Meanwhile, a lot of torpedoes coming in the channel now for Osaka Arasame. Takes 2 to the face. Quincy just dodges them barely.
That's the last gasp of Botcha's Summers, getting those torpedoes out the door before he died. RNG down another ship now, losing their Kremlin. PWP is just doing a much better job, it seems, of focusing ships off the board, Zath.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Match half gone. Finally, somebody bags a cap as PWP does at last bag A. Kirov managing to finally flip that cap.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Beefkid under tremendous amount of pressure now. He's got a Stalingrad on his flank, a Moskva on his flank, a Stalingrad in front of him, and there he goes.
And that's it. That's
the game. RNG swept out of Sea of Fortune, never owning a cap, never bagging a kill.